In this video, I'll talk about 6 guns that I would never entrust with the task of defending my home. Period. These firearms come with grave issues of unreliability or lack of utility. It's also worth noting that there exist alternatives in the market that are not only more affordable and easily accessible, but also excel in every aspect of their intended use. Now, let me clarify the criteria for making it onto this list. To be included, a gun must be utterly and unequivocally terrible. I mean, it has to suck really bad. Out of all the firearms we have encountered, only a select few fall into this category. These are the guns that I wouldn't trust in any circumstance, not even if my life depended on it. Rest assured, these dubious firearms will be revealed in due course. But fear not, for we don't leave you without a glimmer of hope. Alongside each disappointing weapon, we will propose a couple of alternatives that, in my opinion, can effectively replace them. By doing so, we shall not only shed light on the inadequacies of certain firearms, but also equip you with viable options for safeguarding your home. So, without further ado, here are the guns I would never use for home defense. Number 6. Sig P320. The Sig P320, a former crown jewel in my collection of firearms, rose to prominence when it was adopted as the standard sidearm by the U.S. military, earning the prestigious titles of M17 and M18. Its reputation seemed untouchable until a viral video exposed an alarming accidental discharge incident. Investigations later revealed that when the P320's frame and slide experienced a specific angle and impact from a drop, the trigger unexpectedly moved rearward, resulting in an unintended discharge. It was an unfortunate trigger-happy scenario, to say the least. The trigger's weight was identified as a contributing factor, leading to a lawsuit in 2018 that ultimately resulted in a class action settlement in 2020. In response, Sig Sauer launched the Voluntary Upgrade Program, which aimed to rectify the issue for all P320 owners. The program included installing a lighter striker, sear, and trigger, as well as incorporating a mechanical disconnector. However, despite these remedial measures, reports of accidental discharges persist. While many law enforcement agencies keep their grievances concealed, a few shared their experiences online, confirming fundamental design flaws that even Sig Sauer's voluntary upgrade program cannot fully resolve. For instance, the Wyoming Highway Patrol bid farewell to their troopers' Sig Sauer P320 pistols in 2020 after a regrettable incident involving an accidental discharge. Additionally, the Milwaukee Police Officers Union took legal action, alleging that the P320 can discharge without the trigger being pulled. Thus, my friends, while the Sig P320 may have enjoyed its moment in the spotlight, the specter of accidental discharges continues to haunt this once lauded sidearm, which is why I would never use it for home defense. Exercise caution, as the Sig P320's trigger may possess a will of its own, and not always to the shooter's advantage. Remember, using this pistol could lead not only to a resounding bang, but also to a frustrating whimper of disappointment. Number 5. ATI Omni. Coming in at number 5, we have the ATI Omni, manufactured in the Philippines, and it happens to be the most affordable AR-15 available, at least based on my knowledge when we conducted the review. It had an MSRP of $300, and it performed very poorly. As a shooting platform, the AR-15 is perfect for home defense. It's a lightweight, low-recoil firearm with exceptional capabilities and a high-capacity magazine. Whether you are a small-statured individual, a woman, a man, or an elderly person, the AR can prove to be an impressive choice. It offers a minimal recoil and serves as a significant force multiplier. For instance, imagine you are a 60-year-old woman residing alone and 6 intruders break into your home. Unfortunately, such incidents are more common than one might think. In such a scenario, the AR-15 would be the firearm you'd want by your side. But whatever AR-15 you buy, make sure it's not an ATI, because it doesn't just have reliability issues, it's also a disaster waiting to happen. The ATI Omni is constructed with a polymer upper and lower receiver, which immediately raised concerns for me. The idea of a polymer upper receiver always seemed unfavorable in my mind. Now, let's briefly discuss how bullets work. When the hammer strikes the primer, it detonates, igniting the propellant, which then generates an explosion. This explosion is contained within the chamber, receiver, and barrel, propelling the projectile out the front end of the barrel, providing velocity. So, you have a 55-grain bullet traveling at 2,700 feet per second, and you certainly want it to exit through the front of the barrel. If it were to exit through the rear, the consequences would be far worse than anything imaginable. While failures of this nature are not common in AR-15s, they do occur. AR receivers can occasionally rupture, particularly due to squib loads and other factors. Having such a possibility right next to your face is undeniably unnerving, especially considering the fact that the ATI Omni malfunctions non-stop. This doesn't come as a surprise, given the incredibly cheap components used in its construction. Number 4. POF Tombstone. Now, let's delve into the POF Tombstone, a fascinating firearm that made its debut this year. Initially, I was quite intrigued by it. This lever-action rifle, chambered in 9mm, boasts an 18-inch barrel and offers a respectable magazine capacity. While I initially heard that it would accept CZ Scorpion magazines, it turns out that the Tombstone utilizes proprietary magazines. Nonetheless, the concept of a magazine-fed 9mm lever-action rifle is still appealing, especially if you want to explore the world of lever guns while retaining the advantages of standard capacity magazines and quick reloads, all while utilizing a cost-effective caliber for plinking and self-defense. Unfortunately, the POF Tombstone has its own downsides. Firstly, the lever-action mechanism is subpar, resulting in an incredibly slow rate of fire. Additionally, the firearm is known to be unreliable regardless of the ammo you use, with various issues and a significant number of malfunctions. Considering that the 9mm cartridge is already relatively low-powered for a shoulder-fired weapon compared to a shotgun or a rifle, it's crucial to note that it is the minimum caliber one should consider for self-defense purposes, and in some cases, it may be inadequate. The effectiveness of pistol-caliber carbines lies in their higher rate of fire, which compensates for the limitations of the caliber. However, with the POF Tombstone's sluggish lever action, you are essentially left with a single shot and a potential malfunction. In such a scenario, relying on this firearm would be far from ideal. Opting for the traditional lever-action variants chambered in 30-30, 357 Magnum, or 44 Magnum, which have withstood the test of time and are also more affordable, would be a wiser choice. Typically, lever-action rifles within the price range of $1,000 to $1,500, occasionally reaching the $2,000 mark. However, the Tombstone starts at $2,000, offering an unreliable, underpowered package that can only be described as subpar. Number 3. TriStar Viper Max. The TriStar Viper Max is notorious for feeding and ejection issues. We purchased one new. It consistently failed to feed and eject nearly every type of ammo we've tried. No 2 3/4-inch load fed properly, and while there were 3-inch shells that cycled, there are some that just wouldn't feed. We sent the shotgun back to TriStar, providing them with detailed information about the specific loads and manufacturers we had been using. TriStar returned the firearm to us, along with a list of suggested ammo brands and loads. Following their recommendations, we purchased the suggested loads and took the shotgun to the range once again. Lo and behold, we encountered the same problems, failures to feed and failures to eject. We contacted TriStar immediately, both via phone call and email, and even sent them a video to illustrate the issues. However, it took them several hours to respond via email, and we had to follow up with them to get that response. During my conversation with one of their customer service representatives, I mentioned a few times that I had followed the break-in procedure as instructed. But he seemed rather indifferent and suggested that I try running more 3-inch shells through the shotgun to see if it improves during another round of break-in. I explained that it failed to cycle even the ammo brands they specified and mentioned that I own several other auto shotguns that do not have similar issues. The representative then proposed that I send the shotgun back to them so they can attempt to address the problems. I reminded him that I had already done that, and the gun still performed poorly. I suggested that they replace the firearm with a different one, but he claimed that the replacement process would take longer due to management approval procedures. Frustrated, I requested to speak with a manager, but was informed that the manager was unavailable, leaving me the option to leave a message. Throughout our conversation, the representative insisted that they had never encountered such issues before. However, I pointed out that a simple internet search reveals otherwise, and I had even heard about the same problem from a firearms dealer prior to contacting them. Long story short, after countless phone calls, I ended up selling the shotgun to a friend for half its brand new price. I was happy to get rid of it too. Number 2. Keltech KS7. The Keltech KS7 serves as the slimmer variant of the KS12, a shotgun that I previously owned, but unfortunately don't have any footage of for the channel. While the KS12 was decent, the KS7 proved to be another example of Keltech's knack for introducing intriguing ideas that are often executed poorly due to their focus on cost cutting. This bullpup 12-gauge shotgun from Keltech had high hopes, but its performance left much to be desired. During our initial testing, we managed to put only 2 magazine tubes through the KS7 before it catastrophically malfunctioned in our hands. The gun literally fell apart, rendering it unusable. Although we eventually had it repaired, it remained unreliable, leading us to part ways with it without even capturing a full shooting session on video. Aside from its fragility, the KS7 is also challenging to shoot due to its punishing recoil. The combination of a bullpup design and a 12-gauge chambering makes it a formidable and unwieldy option, especially for individuals who may not have the strength or stature to handle such recoil. Whenever we approach home defense videos, we consider the needs of the average person rather than expecting them to be highly skilled or physically robust. In that regard, the KS7 falls short. It's simply not suitable for a 95-pound, 60-year-old individual or anyone with similar limitations. Instead, I highly recommend opting for a standard 12-gauge shotgun, which will likely cost you half the price of the KS7. Take a look at the Mossberg Maverick 88, for instance. We recently acquired a 20-inch model at a local retailer for $250, and it offers superior capacity, reliability, track record, and ergonomics. It's a solid choice that will serve you exceptionally well. So, skip the KS7 and go for the Maverick 88. It's a reliable and affordable alternative that won't disappoint. Number 1. AGD Arms MP9. Taking the lead on this list is the MP9 created by AGD Arms, a firearm that I must admit is my absolute least favorite. I won't delve too deeply into its shortcomings, as many people have already talked about the problems with this gun in detail. However, it is worth highlighting just how much this particular firearm frustrated me. Initially, I had lofty expectations, envisioning it as the next groundbreaking innovation in the industry, with its impressive ultralight design weighing a mere 3.5 pounds and featuring a compact 5-inch SMG equipped with the renowned MP5 roller delayed system and AR-15 controls. It seemed like a dream come true. Unfortunately, the reality fell far short of my hopes. Upon receiving the MP9, I was immediately let down by its subpar quality. The disappointments started with its frequent malfunctions, rendering it unreliable and hindering its performance. However, the issues didn't end there. Shockingly, parts of the firearm started breaking within the first 100 rounds fired. Encountering such problems at such an early stage is simply unacceptable, and it serves as a clear indicator of poor quality control during the manufacturing process. This raises concerns about the company's production practices and their level of expertise. What truly irks me is the fact that companies sometimes treat their customers as unwitting beta testers, using them to identify flaws and weaknesses in their products. This practice is particularly infuriating when it comes to a firearm like the MP9, which carries a hefty price tag of $3,000. In my opinion, a firearm in this price range should have undergone extensive testing and refinement before hitting the market, especially if it is marketed as a specialized home defense weapon. Customers should not bear the burden of enduring numerous malfunctions and parts failures when they invest in a firearm of this price. When we consider the MP9's underwhelming performance, its exorbitant cost, and the fact that there is a wide array of superior alternatives available, it becomes clear that choosing this particular firearm is simply not justifiable. For the same $3,000 price point, you can easily acquire renowned options like MP5s or SCARs, which have been extensively tested and proven in the field, particularly in special operations. Given the plethora of better alternatives on the market, it would be unwise to select the MP9 as a firearm of choice.